it's so nice to be with all of you tonight, and I thank you for having me. There's nothing, honestly, that I enjoy more. I feel like a proud mama than sharing the story of healing housing, and particularly giving you updates as to where we're at now. It feels like we're always changing at a rapid pace. I know Anne, who is one of our heads up our community cooking and community on Tuesday mornings, I'm always glad that she affirms it's a busy place, and she sees that none of us are sleeping there and we're getting our work done. So anyway, it is so good to be here. And I was reflecting, and I'm doing a lot of reflecting because we're coming up on our 10-year celebration next year. So everything is in efforts as we're thinking about the big 10-year celebration. And you know, I am not the founder of Healing Housing. The Healing Housing opened its doors in 2017. There are people in this room who were there far before I was, who put their love and their heart and service into opening the doors of Healing Housing. And I was blessed to come along after a lot of the hard work was done, the heavy lift. But I was saying to Natalie Davis in a missions meeting that this 10-year celebration is your celebration. We are your ministry partner, and without you all, we would not be where we are today. And the wonderful things that have happened to us are truly rooted in this church, and the service and the donations, the prayers, the ministry. We just wouldn't be what we are without you. So first of all, I come with such gratitude anytime I talk to anybody here at the church. I didn't know, and I was trying to go back today to remember when I last spoke to you, and I don't know how much you remember of our origin story, and please raise your hand if you would like me to briefly go over that. Okay, I will. So, and Carol, again, people who were here before me, you have more history, but the way I understand it and the way the founder, Olivia Smith, explained it to me was that she was doing this lovely prison ministry at the Tennessee Women's Prison called Better Decisions. And she was paired with a lovely woman, Stacy, who I've had the honor of meeting, who she completed a curriculum with. And at the end of the curriculum, she said, and she was getting ready to be released, she said, "Miss Olivia, thank you for all of this. This has been wonderful. But when I leave here, how can I make a better decision about my life if I'm going right back to the home where my addiction was born in and that is still active and living and my relatives are still using? I have no financial resources. I have no place to go. How can I do better?" And bless Olivia, she did not let that go. And that bothered her, and she wrestled with it, and she brought it to Pastor Chappell. And Davis said, go form a committee, do research, see what you can find out about the need in our community, and come back to me. And a group of wonderful people dedicated those years to starting a nonprofit, to finding out about the very few resources that were available for women with addiction in terms of stable housing, safe housing, and did the research, did the footwork, and you know, fast forward to from 2015 to 2017 and raising funds to open the doors. Olivia was blessed to find 2 homes in Franklin right next door to each other. I believe it was on New Year's Eve. Wonderful way to start a year, that she was driving by and saw these 2 houses for rent, and got us all moved in and got it started. And so that is a bit of the history. And again, Stacy, really, you know, Olivia learned so much from her. The group of volunteers learned so much about the needs, and then really researching and understanding that housing and housing for women with addiction resources very little, a lot more for men. And that still is the case. Women have a lot harder time finding housing than men. And how the program started was, and I love it because now working in the industry for so long, The system that we see out there, to me, is a very broken system. The 30-day treatment that parents are so often told and sold that their child will go into treatment, they'll have 30 days, they'll detox, and they can come home and things will be okay. We call that the wash, rinse, repeat cycle. And it sets people up for such sadness. I'm very involved in a group called Families Anonymous and had my meeting last night, and it is really problematic. And the housing component, which is kind of a messy component, I love it, but it is messy, it's long-term, it's slow, it's a lot of crisis intervention, but that's where you really see the results. When a person can have stability for up to a year and longer, you hit major milestones, and that's what happens in the housing piece. And so bless Olivia, bless this group of volunteers who recognized that housing was essential, and especially housing for those who had no financial resources. So we are, to this day, our criteria for care, when people ask me how do people get in, one of the first things is that the women have to be homeless and or facing homelessness. So when they are coming to us, they are coming from encampment now, and as we have dialed in and as we move to Nashville, the needs have gotten far more dire, and we are working with a clientele that is vastly different from what we did when we opened the doors in Franklin. No financial resources. The average age woman that comes to us is 38. She's been through this 13 times, keeps trying it, and she's either coming to us through a diversion program who is calling us, like Athena's Court is one of our sex trafficking court run by Judge Escobar, Williamson County Recovery Court, all the recovery courts call us and utilize us, jails, county jails, prisons, that's who's calling us and is in need of our help. And so as long as you are broke, you got no place to go, you're a good candidate for us. The other one would be your mental health diagnosis. And we have gotten a lot better and upped our game in terms of the mental health criteria that we can support and assist with. And what used to be pretty much we would take generalized anxiety and depression. Now we will even take bipolar. We've had women who have auditory hallucinations. We work a lot. We work very closely with a psychiatrist who helps guide us through helping us being able to support women with more challenging psychiatric diagnoses. And so that is our criteria for care. The women who come to us, when people ask me feelings, and I sit in the room next to our program director, Keisha Pyle, who handles the intake. When we have a client that is coming to us, she is the one that is the first person that they see, that aside from the transportation driver, that is getting them all dialed in. And what I hear most frequently from the other room, which is heartbreaking, is fear, very, very afraid, and so much gratitude. So those are the two feelings that are expressed over and over again. When I go in and introduce myself, when all of us staff is introduced, they will most of the time say, I'm so excited, but I'm really afraid. And I think that, I hope that humanizes addiction for you, because their desire is to be sober. Their desire is to not live with addiction. Their fear is that they've never been able to prove to themselves that they can do it. And we assure them that in a loving, supportive environment with the proper resources, they can do it. And that statistically, we have a good track record of helping them do that. So, and then excitement and hope for a different future. And a lot of them, it's funny when, in terms of marketing our program, we don't have to. I cannot tell you how many women in prison who are locked up next to each other know about healing housing, and one gets in and is telling her former cellmate about our program. And so it cracks me up how many of them know each other. Even if they weren't locked up together at the time before they came, they remember from years ago. And they are our best advertisement. You know, this program is going to change your life. This is going to do miracles for you. It changed my life. And so it's really lovely to see and lovely to hear. So there's a lot of excitement and, again, hope for a new future. One thing that we've dialed in over the years, thanks to you all and thanks to a lovely base of donors called our Welcome Home Patrons, is that every woman that comes to us is provided her first 12 weeks at absolutely no cost. So she is, even before she comes to us, she is sent a grocery list. She tells us what her needs are. We have the refrigerator stocked for her so there's no embarrassment. Her cupboard is stocked for her. She has new linens on her bed, new towels. The women get very excited to make up her bed for her and put notes of encouragement and welcome for them, and they get a beautiful welcome home basket. So that beginning, we are setting them up to feel love, to have them know the feeling that we anticipated their arrival. Pat Rawls used to say, you know, and she still says, we prayed for you before you ever came here. And so it is with great excitement that we welcome them home. And the 12 weeks at no cost is really unheard of. It is amazing how costly that time period is, because not only are they getting all the essentials, but we are also right away getting them a full psychiatric evaluation. We're getting them, that happens right away. We are getting them on medication management, paying for that. We right away dial them in with a therapist based on the psychiatrist's recommendations and based on their history. And dental care, a women's well visit, all those things are happening right when they come in. We've had as of recent, a woman who came that couldn't hear. She had gone so long without being able to hear, got her right away into an audiologist, got her hearing aids connected. They all have vision care. So we're dialing that in because they feel really lousy when they get to us. They feel really bad. And it is years of neglect, years of poor health, and we all feel very committed to that being a foundation and for hope and wanting to get better. When you start to feel better, everything changes. And meals that are, 3 times a day at certain times, there's, that we have a very structured daily routine. They have their calendars. They know what each day looks like. They get up they have to be at morning circle at 8:30. That goes till 9. It's a very rhythmic, safe, structured environment that they crave and that we provide for them. So that first 12 weeks at no cost, they can't believe that. Like, they just can't believe we're not asking for an administrative cost. We're not asking for anything from them. Our message is to them, we don't want you to worry about that. We don't want you to worry about work. That's one thing that we saw early on, is that they'd get there right away and they'd feel like they had to get a job really fast. And then that became problematic. And so we are very strict about, we don't want you to get a job yet, because you are going to have so much to do from what we are asking of you in terms of get a sponsor, go to your AA meetings, make your doctor appointments. We have an intensive outpatient program that they go to in Franklin that's 9 hours of curriculum a week. So they are so incredibly busy during those 12 weeks. And we just feel that that is foundational to setting them up for what the year ahead looks like. This shows you what all is included in that first 12 weeks. Case management. So all of us on staff at Healing Housing, not myself anymore, but our treatment team, we have 3 that meet with the women individually each week. They have a split caseload. We have, which I failed to mention, we have 4 houses in Nashville. Phase 1 of our program is a year-long commitment. So when I hear Keisha doing screenings, I'm hearing her say to them, You have to be willing to be with us a year. Of course, we cannot, between us, we can't hold them to that, but we are telling them that it is a year-long structured program and that we need that commitment up front. So case management is a big part of that. It's 22 women who have that phase 1 year-long program, and then now we have a step-down house that accommodates another 8 women. So we can house 30 women in our program. And I'll get to the step-down portion in a minute. The weekly therapy I mentioned, the medical dental care, career and vocational training. We have a wonderful relationship with Uprise Nashville, if you've heard of them. They provide wonderful career opportunities for our women and vocational development. The women do not have to do that. It is an option that is available to them once they've been with us for about 6 months to 9 months. Then we start assessing them qualifying for that, because yours truly came up with an idea, it's probably been 6 years ago now, that although Uprise was a free program and it offered wonderful certifications, post-secondary certifications and things like certified medical assistant, dental hygiene, phlebotomy, all sorts of different career paths that they could go into. For the most part, for women, they are in the healthcare industry. And looking at jobs and profession and 401k and insurance benefits and all these things that those jobs would have. But what I knew is that the women would not choose to do that on their own because they really couldn't. Going to school full-time means foregoing any kind of pay. And most of them come to us saddled with child support payments. They're behind. They need to start getting, a lot of them have court fines and fees. So I knew that it wouldn't be a choice that they would make. So we were awarded a grant to, kind of as a pilot test drive, to pay them, those who did it, $400 a week. Strict standards for them to receive that stipend, but it has been hugely successful. And we give them that time, the 6 to 9 months, to really watch on our side to make sure that they are making all the behavioral requirements of healing housing, so that we know that they're a good candidate for being able to do what's going to be required of them in terms of the schooling with Uprise. A lot of our women do it. I think I'll have a stat to talk to you about in a little bit. I think it's 20 women that we have dialed in this year that are doing that vocational training path. And most of the women that live in our step-down house all have the CMA certification, and they are working jobs at Vanderbilt, at Ascension St. Thomas. Most of them have chosen also then to move into that step-down house. So it's interesting to note, of course, the ones that are doing the career training, that are getting the jobs, the stable jobs with upward mobility, with benefits, they're also choosing to stay in a supportive environment, continue to save money, continue to be drug screened, continue to have all of the structure that we still provide. So it's a highly successful partnership. And we offer still, even for those who don't do that kind of a vocational training, we still have resume building, financial literacy, other opportunities for them to meet with career coaches that they can do more one-on-one. The topical workshops that we offer, those are really fun. We do those on Tuesday nights, and a lot of those are generated. The topics are from the women, of ideas that they want for a topic to be led on. One of the favorites that we always do is how to not date a loser. So that is, and I am always really grateful when they ask for that one. So they recognize patterns, and they recognize the need to get out of those patterns. And so those are on Tuesday nights. Those are mandatory clinical group workshops that they have to attend. A lot of them are fun. Right now, simultaneously, we've got going a Kashana Armstrong, who runs Your Song nonprofit, is leading 6-week back-to-back songwriting, music therapy workshops, and they come out with each, after each 6-week course, with a song that they've written. And I hope to bring that to the church. I'm talking to the United Women of Faith about doing some kind of performance of these songs for everyone to hear, because they're pretty spectacular. And Kashan is amazing. And they have loved being involved in these music workshops. Our graduate gift back program, we always struggle with what to call it, but I will explain that to you. And Carol probably remembers the pains of this in the beginning, but it was a wonderful idea of that a percentage of when the women have finished their 12 weeks, let me back up, they are required to have a full-time job. And they do then have to start paying $140 a week to stay at Healing Housing. Of that, they are very aware that there is the possibility for them to get back 55% of that when they graduate at a year from our program. So huge incentive for them to stay. It is not a savings program. They are not guaranteed that. It is a gift back from our program for completing our program. So that is how we word it to them. In the beginning, it was if they didn't complete the program, they would say, that's my savings. And we would say, no, it is not your savings. This is a wonderful, incredible, inexpensive amount to pay for a program fee where all of your essentials are given to you. They still they're not paying electricity or utilities or toilet paper or a lot of times meals. So $140 a week is a bargain. And what I also tell people is that what we're really setting up for it, because it's not like that is what makes our budget work. That is a very small amount weekly. But what it teaches them is saving money, paying rent, so that we're setting them up with a skill when they leave our program, that they have that rhythm of I pay each week, I have to set this money aside. And that might seem very simple to a lot of us, but it is not. And I can guarantee you we have to talk about payment plans sometimes, and we have to make sure that they get caught up on fees or they get a point. And so there are some that are incredible savers, and just like in life, and then there are some that it is every week you're going, wait a minute, I just saw an Amazon package. All Amazon packages have to come through our admin building. So we also have a really good track of, hey, you're behind on your fees, and we also saw 5 packages come in that we go through. So we know what's going on here. So they are learning to help them prepare for when they leave. So we have provided, this was done last year. We are at 300 women in our residential program and celebrated well over 100 graduations. This is last year's statistics, last mid-year. And advocacy and referrals, that's one thing that has really changed for us, is our phone rings off the hook. And that is people inquiring all day long about a bed. And do you have a bed? Can you have a bed? Or again, program partners who are looking for their clients to be placed at Healing Housing. The intensive outpatient program, I don't know if I shared this with you last, I cannot remember when I was with you all last, but in 2024 we were awarded a wonderful grant from the Opioid Abatement Council when the Sackler money, the big faux pas with opiates and all the damage that was done there, fortunately, we are able to do some correction with these funds that we have been granted through that mess, through that bad chapter in our nation's history. And Healing Housing was awarded a grant to open an outpatient program. So our gender-specific outpatient program that we have done within our walls has been hugely successful, and the women attribute really the foundation of their recovery in those first 12 weeks to this outpatient program that we have. And it's, again, this curriculum. It hits on subjects like sexual trauma, spirituality, family of origin, and takes a deep dive. And of course, you can provide all the great curriculum in the world, but if you don't have a great facilitator, that doesn't always connect, and we have wonderful facilitators who are all graduates of our program, and they are leading the women through this curriculum and making sure that their beginning weeks are dialed in. So what we wanted to do was open that to our greater community. For all the women that call and cannot be housed with us, we felt like this would be a wonderful offering for them. So that is located now. We won that grant when we were living in Franklin. Now we have moved to Nashville in 2024 with these 4 beautiful homes. So now we are having to transport the women from Nashville to Franklin, where they are in classes with women from like Oak Cottage, other programs, professionals who cannot be housed. They have, for whatever reason, or they still need to be working a job, so they can't do the housing part of our program, that they are offered our IOP. And so this was funded for 3 years, so I'm actually now looking at, it will end next year at this time, and we are hoping to move that licensed program into Nashville. I've actually been working with St. John's United Methodist Church on Charlotte, and looking at opening and licensing a facility closer to our home there, which we will again open to the community. And we are looking at this as a bit of revenue and sustainability for our program, because we will be able to bill insurance. So help a lot of people and hopefully help us a little bit too. Our new homes in Nashville, I mean, did everyone know that we bought these homes? Is that news? Everyone knew that. Okay. Well, still love them. They're still great. As my friend Vernon Spicer says, who is our facilities director, volunteer director, and keeps these houses running. These houses were really the tall and skinnies in Nashville that were made for families of 4. And let me tell you, we have 11 in each of the 2 houses and 8 in the step-down home. These houses are put to the test. We have even won grants for 3 of the 4 garages to convert those to more living space. So that even the garages have been converted, and we could fill 4 more homes. And but I have to tell you about these homes, 2 years later, to hear the women walk into these homes and to hear them say, "This is the most bougie place I've ever lived. I can't believe I get to live here. I walked by places like this. I saw lights on. I never thought I would have this." So it is wonderful, and we maintain the heck out of them. One of the things that we have preached early on at Healing Housing is part of that structure and ritual is keeping our homes clean, the things that we own clean and kept up. And it can be challenging. It can be very challenging, especially when skill sets like that were never taught. But that is a big part. We do weekly, about every other month, they will go through and do a chore, teaching chores again. We found that some women who have been through homelessness or who've neglected and they really do not know how to do very basic things, and it's embarrassing. So we just tell them we go through this every couple of months, make sure everyone understands what their chore is, and the houses stay looking lovely and always show ready. If you're ever interested in coming to see a tour, I'm always more than happy to show them because they always look really lovely.
Do you still have the Franklin homes also? Or?
We do not. That ended. Those 2 homes, my gosh, did we put the wear and tear on those 2. And we actually, that was a whole chapter, but a blessing to have started there, and our time was definitely up. And when we moved to Nashville, we have hit the ground running. So the need again in Nashville and being in that community, that part of it is very different. Project Redesign is another wonderful nonprofit. Our success is really in our nonprofit partners that we have for so many of the resources and what we can provide the women. And they, if you ever have furniture that you need to donate, call Project Redesign. They come pick it up, they rehab it, and then they help us with our alumni who are moving out, and they have decorated and helped us with our homes. Bloom is the program that when we moved in that the women have taught me how to do this program. I get a whole lot of credit for what they've taught me and what they've told me. And 6 months was a great starting point for a 6-month program, but what we saw is we'd get them sober for 6 months, they'd go out and use immediately. It was just 6 months is just not enough time. A year, a whole lot better, but 2 years, 3 years, now you're talking turkey. That's what I want to see. So these women who make the choice after they've got a year at Healing Housing in phase 1, then they are offered the ability to move into phase 2, which is Bloom. And that is a less structured environment, but still has the accountability to it. So they still have chore checks, they still have house meetings, they still have mandatory meetings that they have to make, they still have to meet with their sponsor. All of that has to be reported to us, and it is. And I will say that the women who do choose not to move there, a lot of times it is for reasons that you would understand, and that is that they need to be closer to their children, and they have gained custody of their kids, and we cannot house their children with them. So that is typically what the case is or they're going to take care of an elderly parent, or those are the typical reasons. But I have to say, and we are doing a study on it now, and there is a significant difference in the women who move in and stay another year compared to those that leave after a year even.
Is your aid always full? Are you
Yes,
always full?
always full.
What happens if somebody wants to be in there and there's not room?
Well, I'm going to tell you, in a group of people who believe in miracles, miraculously that has not happened yet. And because the numbers don't make sense to me, but for whatever reason, and I will say that phase 2, they are actively even in there always saying, keeping their eyes out to move out. They are. And so some have stayed 4 months, some have stayed 5. There's no end date. And we also have some who have stayed 2 years. And right now we're looking at about 3 that are in the 2-year, hitting the 2-year mark. But we're getting ready to have a couple of others that are moved out, and we've got a couple in the hopper ready to move in. So it's just worked so far. My goal is that the next garage, the final garage that we finish, it will be in their house. That's the one remaining, and that will offer 2 more beds. And then our goal as an organization, which we're doing strategic planning right now, is really looking at obtaining more homes. And that is definitely the goal. So please say prayers for us. Yes. Enrichment activities is one of my favorite things that continues to grow and blossom. I absolutely love that the women who have at Healing Housing have exposure to arts, they have exposure to hiking, they go on canoe trips. One of our clients said to me, Miss Tracey, I've been in so many places like in recovery housing. I've done this so many times, and never, ever have it has always been so depressing to sit there all day without a car, without transportation. And that made me really sad. And I also, for me as a woman in recovery, to me, without showing what the beauty of life and the color of life and all the wonderful things that happens, I want them to connect to those things. And a lot of times I want them to even reconnect with inner child. A lot of these experiences that they giggle and laugh about are really like kid things that they like doing, but maybe they missed out on. And doing it in sisterhood is really special to watch. They really come alive with that. And tickets to TPAC and seeing things like that make for conversation, learning a new skill, songwriting. Willie comes in on Wednesdays and teaches guitar, banjo, and voice. So I always get to hear music on Wednesdays, and I get to hear them practicing. So the houses are lively. To me, that is a big part of recovery, is what is my life going to look like? What are new things I can be thinking about and stimulate my mind with? And so it's a wonderful thing to be able to see them. They go to Sounds game, they go to Predators games, they get excited about athletics, and it really helps. These are 2025 numbers, and actually, I think I probably would like to tell you more, if I may, about where we're at this year, thus far this year. So year-to-date highlights. And then I'd love to open it up to any questions that you have. 25 women have been housed in our Phase 1 program, the year-long program this year. We welcomed 19 new residents, so it's always hard for me to report stats because some are bleedovers from the year before that are still with us. 8 women have graduated thus far this year, so 8 women have done the full year with us. 6 of those women transitioned to Phase 2, the Bloom House that I let you know about. We have 42 active alumni. That's super exciting. I can't tell you, our alumni program has really taken off, and we even just named a president who was a graduate of ours from many years ago, and she's come back in. A lot of the women who are in recovery want to come back and volunteer their time and support to our program. 425 inquiries and follow-up conversations with women seeking support. I told you that. The phone rings off the hook now. It is always busy, always people inquiring, and we are, I always say, we are a service-oriented business, so if we can't help you, we're going to find someplace that can help you. So we do not just end at a phone call with "we don't have a bed." We are connecting them with a bed and a partner that we trust in and trying to help them out. And that includes people who call from the community, from the church, who have a family member who needs help. We are happy to try to help connect with resources. We've collected 200 applications this year. So that goes to show you we have 30 beds, and we've collected 200 applications just in July. So that's crazy. 88% of our staff are graduates. I love that. And if you've heard me talk about it and I preach about it, I am not a graduate of the program. I am a woman in long-term recovery. My clinical supervisor swears that it is the wrong thing to do. I think it is absolutely the best thing you can do. We are like a little team. This is a pack of women who look out for each other, and when they get into a staff role and they let us know early on that they would like to be a senior peer in our program, or they would like to be our initial job, or entry job, is transportation coordinator. So that is the first job that they have the ability to apply for. But being able to watch women over a year and know what their habits are, know what their work ethic is, know how they mentor others, it's like we've got the best, best view in the house to watch for a year who's going to work on our staff, and it works. I don't care what my clinical super, it really works. And again, you have this group of women that are like, there's nobody rooting more for the guy coming in than a woman who's been through it and knows, hey, you can do it. I've been to jail. I mean, Keisha, our program director, if you were at our Love Lunch and you heard her story, that woman was, intense, 4 years ago. And she is our program director, and she crushes it day in and day out. So hardworking women committed to a mission just the way I was, that is transformative. And 85% of us, staff and volunteers, are in recovery, and that's important too. Wonderful to note. So that's really it. I hope I've hit on things that you want to hear, and if there's time, please ask me any questions.
Yeah, I have a question about your A&D program. I take it it's all on campus, but is your staff certified as A&D counselors? Do they have any kind of certification levels, or do they bring people from the outside? How does that work?
So in terms of staff certifications, when they come on board as staff, we are right away making sure that they're going through ethics, confidentiality, all the basics things, case management training, motivational interviewing, all those classes we dial them in with. They are eligible, and I push them all to go after their Certified Peer Recovery Support Specialist, CPRS designation, which they can go once they have 2 years of sobriety. That is now, insurance covers services for licensed programs that have CPRS on staff. And they also now have a CPRS-J certification, which all of my staff is eligible for, and that is that they were involved in the justice system as well. So they can go into jails, and our staff does go into jails, and so that's number one. And then we are all under, I still am, and I'm not a licensed alcohol and drug addiction counselor, but we are all under clinical supervision to become licensed alcohol and drug addiction counselors. So my path has really turned onto the business development side and keeping us funded. I do very little in treatment except the parts that I love to do. I kind of get to dip in and dip out for the fun stuff, and sometimes I get called in for some difficult conversations, but for the most part, all of my staff, that is a profession that they wanted to go in, so we are helping them get that training, and we pay for that.
Tracey, is there any kind of sort of equivalent for men?
Well, there's been a lot who have tried, and I do not say that with ego. I was just on a call with one of our board members who has run a men's program that he actually tried to copy of Healing Housing and financially could never pull it off. So I am not a fool. I know that we are backed by a very wealthy county. We have a wealthy county of donors. We have great stats, and we have remained funded. And it is very difficult to remain sustainable in this business. And I was thinking about that when I was coming in today, because a lot of foundation funding we've lost. I mean, you all know that. Like, funding has really dropped and diminished a lot. And it's for the first time in a long time I've sweat a little bit about funding, which I was really blessed to not have to worry about that for quite a bit of the time. And the thing is that I don't know, when it's asked it on the grant, you know, if this is not funded after this year, will you continue this? And there is not what you saw in there, what we provide, there is not one of those I would give up. I would figure out a way to fund it. And I know that sounds like but I would figure it out because it is so essential to me. And I wish that there were more men's and women's programs that were meeting this need, people in encampment, the unhoused. I see such miracles happen with those people, but I know it takes a lot of money. We've also done a lot with other nonprofits, and that helps a lot, is learning to figure out how we can partner. But that's a long way around the question. For men, I don't know of anything equivalent to what we do.
What is your approximate philanthropy donations every year that you depend upon? Just approximate number?
It takes us 1.6 to. A drop in the bucket. I've got it.
At the beginning of your presentation, I think you mentioned that there were more services available for men than women. So what do those services look like?
I don't know if I would say services, there's more housing. And the other thing I would say about it is that doesn't mean that it's housing for people without financial resources. There are some of those out there. There seems to be more for men. But again, even with men, you're not going to find a 12-week at no cost up front. But you're going to find plenty that will run you about $1,000 a month to $2,000 a month to be there, than to luxury recovery homes. But you know, I got to tell you, my friends who are in this business who are for-profit, most of them, I would say all that I know, are in recovery themselves, and nobody's getting rich in this business. Mm-hmm. The turnover, the mess, it is a messy, messy business. So it's not a money-making venture. And to add the kind of wraparound services that we add, it would be very difficult for a for-profit organization that's trying to make a little bit of profit.
Do you have a dollar amount that you equate to the 12 weeks with no cost to like one individual? I mean, if you, in a presentation you were giving.
That's a good question, and I will get back to you with that, because that's a really good question. need to have that, yeah. It's very costly. I can tell you, when I go through it in my one step, what I can look at is like the average age of the average cost of what we invest in a woman.
Right.
And it's about 12 to 15,000. So a year stay with them of what we're providing and the services that we're providing, not what they're, that they're paying in. The dental stipend, the psychiatric care. It's really the therapy is our biggest cost because that's weekly, and we don't do pro bono. We actually do have one gentleman that does pro bono work who is the problem with me was that we were getting a lot of interns on pro bono, and the women are so far in need of like,
Well, I would assume then that of that 15,000, the majority of that is that first 12 weeks.
it for sure. Although that's the other thing is I'm making sure in grant that because once they get out of that 12 weeks, again, all those wraparound services are still
Sure.
provided. We don't, it's just that they're then responsible for their own groceries. Really that's largely their cost because we're still providing toilet paper, all the things that the house does to run. I mean, our goal is telling them this is your time to save money. This is your time to prepare for, or pay off fines, pay off debt. That's what we really want them to do. And a lot of them see that as the opportunity to do that.
Do you have any issues with safety and domestic violence?
Yes, the issues that we have, and we have really cracked down on the women, is making sure that, and first of all, there's a lot of women that are coming from domestic
Right.
violence and unsafe.
Yes.
And then when they come to us, we have to really protect them from going back to that, because it is as common as you read about. They want to go back to their abuser, they want to go back to it is like a magnet. And we even now, which you will laugh about, but we even instituted in the first 90 days a no dating at all rule. And even after that, we have to meet, if they are going on pass, we have to meet the person and look them in the eyes on who they are going on pass with. So that person has to be willing to meet with our staff and before they.
But that means they come to the house.
Well, she does those over Zoom, or she'll go to a different place.
I worked at the YW and they have the domestic violence shelter, and the address was never given out and that kind of thing, and I just didn't know if you had issues with like the abuser coming to the house, that type of thing.
Yeah, no men are allowed on property. In fact, it's hysterical because when one does drive up, unless we have a word up and we say, and we'll post it to all residents, there's a man coming on property. So, but if one drives up, I mean, all staff are getting there's a man on property that, and Keisha, I wouldn't mess with Keisha if my life depended on it. That woman would walk up it blows my mind. At the minute she sees it, she's running out the door and going right up to the car and move it, and even Keisha, yeah. She doesn't mess around. So it is very safe. We are very safe. And again, the curfews and the policies about being in are very strict.
Do you have any sort of statistics on, I don't know what to call it, the success rates after the program, after 2 years? Let's just take the best case, graduates that go out into life and, can remain successful or become independent and avoid, recidivism, so to speak. Any statistics on what those numbers look like?
So we have just hired a consultant who, because this has been literally the bane of my existence, is doing through spreadsheets and making phone calls and even offering Amazon gift cards if you will respond to us. It is trying to track them once they leave, because the ones that want to be tracked are at those alumni meetings. And those are engaged women who are still part of the story. But it is very difficult to track that. And it is for anybody in our business. That's just a very hard thing to do. So we're doing our best again, to me, what's going to be really interesting is now with more statistics, which is why I want to track this so much, with the women in that step-down house, if everything goes the way it should, our statistic rate should just continue to improve, because the longer we have them there, the closer we can get to the 5-year mark, the better their chances are of long-term. And I have to tell you, I have looked at success rates very differently in my time there. I really love saying that they haven't relapsed, but that to me is not the definition of success. If we provided love, if they had a connection with with some type of spiritual connection, if they felt in their body how good it feels to feel healthy and sober, and they have that comparison now, if they've mended relationships with their family or their children, some of them do lapse. They just do. The difference between a lapse and a relapse is huge, and we are a very welcoming and loving community to help them get back on track either way. And they all call home, I gotta tell you. If they relapse, they all call home. They are wanting the help, and we are there to provide it. So that to me is success too. We formed a bond, we formed a relationship, and they can trust us and they will call us, and we will do our damnedest to help them get back on the horse again.
That's great.
Great.
Thank you.
Can I make one just quick thing before we leave, just super fast? You saw the brochures, the little postcards over here for our, I took a huge leap of faith. This is called Where We Meet. We are doing this at Oz Arts. We have hired an aerial dance production. The Women's Stories of Healing Housing will be put to dance. We have hired a composer. It is a lovely coming together, and we need help selling tickets, and we need help filling seats. And so from what I have seen, it is going to be amazing. And the music, the composer who's worked on it, Omari Booker, who's a famous Nashville artist, will be having a visual display of his art there. So I hope you can join us.
When?
August 7, 8, and 9. So a matinee on the 9th and 2 evening performances. And it is my love letter
Here
to
at
the women of
church.
healing housing. It will be at Oz Arts Center. So
And you've got cards over there?
got postcards over there, and yeah. Great. Thank you all.